Welcome back, everyone. Thanks again to our friends at Arcadium for the coffee break. One of the most innovative, and a reminder also that we're live streaming everything today over MediaPost.com. We'll also be archiving it, blogging and reporting on it. If you want to go back and review any of the sessions from the day, you can probably by tomorrow. If you go back to the agenda for the event, you'll find links to all the videos. There are a few companies, few brands that have been as interesting and innovative as Rivian, but I'm going to hand this over to Tanya Gazdik, who is our lead reporter on auto, senior editor of auto coverage here at MediaPost for a number of years. She's been writing for MediaPost and for Adweek for over 15 years, based in Detroit herself, close to the business, and also pretty much your programmer today. Tanya knows more about this, will forget more about this in the next 15 minutes than I've ever known. So please welcome Tanya Gazdik.
Hi, everybody. So Rivian is a new brand, and that doesn't happen very often in the auto industry. And I actually met Larry a couple months ago, earlier this year, over at their new facility in Plymouth, which is, interestingly enough, where my parents first met when they were dating, when it was Burroughs Corporation. So I have a little bit of a draw to that building to start with. But it's a really cool building. They've turned it into a really cool space and very creative and the perfect environment for what they're doing, and Larry's going to tell us more about it. So first, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up at Rivian, and then also a little bit about Rivian?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Larry. I got some slides I prepared for you guys. But really, I'm actually a designer by trade, and my career started in aerospace engineering. I'm currently the creative director for Rivian. And when I joined Rivian, it wasn't in a great building that Tanya saw. It was actually in a space that looked like something like you'd buy carpet out of, like a warehouse, a little 5,000 square foot warehouse with a couple offices. And, I came there as a designer, as an industrial designer focusing on design research. And when I initially came out to that space, it was just a couple guys, 15 people, and a vehicle sitting on top of a lift. So it was a very different time in the world of Rivian. As you guys may have known, or already know, is that Rivian's an EV-focused company building adventure-based products. The company was started by RJ about 9 years ago, but in somewhat of a different fashion. And about 4.5 years ago when I joined, we really started to focus on the program that we're doing right now.
So building an automotive brand from the ground up is not something most automakers get the chance to do. How have you been learning about prospective customers, and how has that informed the brand?
Well, like I said, I came from the world of industrial design and design research. Sorry, I don't use mics too often. So that process of design research really started with a tremendous amount of in-field work. So when I joined Rivian, it was actually really exciting because I saw this opportunity to bring design and innovation work right to the table with RJ and become a core part of the organization and help shift what we do and shape what we do. So in true, consultancy-like fashion, we went and did a long research project. And when I say long, I mean 2 years. So we spent time interviewing surfers in Southern California, mountain bikers in the Pacific Northwest. We spent time learning new mobility models in San Francisco, and a lot of guerrilla-type research, like leaving survey cards and zip cars and Car2Go and things like that, just to kind of interact with a lot of different people. And along that way, we learned a tremendous amount about these extreme use cases. We weren't focused on asking questions. We were focused on learning, watching people. And that research not only informed the product, why the side bin's a seat, why we focus on gear security, why the interior is cleanable, all those things. But it also helped us to realize along the way that this brand was a reflection of these consumers' lives. And it wasn't about telling some story. It was about just showcasing, the lives of the people that we met. So that has really informed a lot of it. And it's also remained really core to what we do. So when we have new people start on our teams, we take them on research trips. And this is still really, really core. The ethno is still really core to what we do. So.
Research trips is part of your new job. Like, where do you go on the research trips?
I go surfing always.
Yeah.
So no, it's real. It's true. Like I just got back from Costa Rica, so like Friday night. But we're always doing things in the outdoors, and it's really important for us, for our team, to live the brand, and in being out there, engaging in these activities, meeting people. So whether that's studying like overland travel, and we're taking all our teams on these overland trips where they get to go and use overland vehicles and start to see what that experience is like, and that not only informs their day-to-day life and what they do, but also informs, again, the product itself. So we wrap it all together.
So why is the outdoors and the environment so important to the brand?
I mean, for us, there's a video here. We've got a little video we can play.
When I first started the company, it was just myself and a few other people. We actually plastered on the wall a statement that said, "We're building this car because it does not exist." The challenge and the beauty of a clean sheet is you can do things the right way without worrying about the legacy of the past, but still leverage and learn from what's been done before. We've intentionally made sure that we're doing things that people don't believe to be possible.
So that's a little clip from to talk about some of the larger vision of the organization. So if you look back to why RJ started the company, it had a lot to do with the environment first and foremost. He wanted to do something good for the world. And his initial idea long before Rivian was to build pedal-powered cars for the city environments. Needless to say, he pivoted from that very early on as he graduated from MIT. But you know, not only do we feel like a responsibility as an organization to the environment and to the things we're doing, but there's a really strong connection between the outdoor world and people's passion for it and protecting where they like to play. And you look at organizations like Protect Our Winters or Surfrider Foundation. So there's a lot of exciting things happening in that space, and that's important to us.
So will the use of, in building the brand and starting from scratch, will the use of influencers and partnerships be important to the vehicle launches? I know you're already working with a couple of folks, Alex and Ben, and can you talk about who they are and how they were selected?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at these relationships at a pretty deep level, and with Alex and Ben, they're not like influencers per se for us.
Maybe you want to tell us who they are. Alex Honnold.
Oh yeah, of course.
And Ben Moon.
So the two people that are working with us as really brand partners are Alex Honnold, the climber, arguably one of the most important climbers in the history right now, and just achieved monumental task of free soloing El Capitan about 1.5 years ago or 2 years ago, and obviously he just won an Oscar. But our relationship started long before that. And the other gentleman is Ben Moon, who's an outdoor photographer and cancer survivor who has been shooting for Patagonia and other brands for about the last 20 years. So our relationships with them are a lot more than just a transactional relationship. They're really partners to us, and they're helping to not only inform our brand, but also inform our product. And initially the whole relationship started with Ben. As a creative director at Rivian, I do a lot of different things, and you've had to do a lot of different things at Rivian, because when you start, it sounds crazy, starting a car company with 15 people, but when you do that, everybody has to do everything. And at the time, I really needed to focus on not only developing the product and understanding the consumer and getting our engineering team on board, but also think about the style and tone and the look and feel of everything from our spaces and our future retail destinations to company communication and tonality of all kinds of assets. So along that way, I started, pilfering images and content from the internet, things that I liked, things that felt right, things that communicated these ideas. And I had actually been sitting on the couch one day in like August watching some sort of, branded content on Vimeo, like I do. And Ben had a viral piece come out about 4 years now called Denali that kind of recounted his battle with cancer and the death of his dog. And it was really impactful at the time to me. And I just kind of liked it, and it just sat there, and it went away. And I never thought about it again. And then I was kind of, starting to pull all these images together, and I started to pick, all these little pieces from brands I liked, and I started to notice Ben's name kept coming up, and then I ended up putting two and two together. And this was long before we had announced and long before we had shared anything with the world outside of that we were a car company. I DM'd, direct messaged Ben on Instagram and said, hey, I work for this new car company. I can't tell you anything or show you anything, but I'd like to work together. And it just turned into a pretty interesting relationship. And it turns out that when he was 9, he had a poster of the clay modeling studio at Ford on his wall. And he wanted to be like a car designer. And then obviously his career path went in a very different way into photography, sports photography and all that. So it just, a strange serendipitous moment. And we stayed connected. And then, I started to become really interested in how could you tell our brand story through the lens of an outdoor photographer rather than using traditional automotive photographers. So, for me, coming from outside the automotive world, even though I'm a fan of the car world, certainly, I was going to take a different perspective on it. So that made that initial intro. And then with Alex, interestingly enough, they ended up being repped by the same agent. And I went to meet the agents to talk about Ben, and I met Alex. And I learned a lot about Alex's foundation, which is really interesting to me. And that ultimately turned into another relationship that is growing and growing. And actually, I'll be in Puerto Rico with the both of them tomorrow. So we're heading down there for a project that we're doing outside of the automotive industry. So it's kind of interesting.
Where was this picture taken? Can you tell us a little bit about this?
That was in Nevada. That is obviously RJ, myself, and Ben and Alex, just outside of Alex's home. Alex lives in Nevada. It's apparently one of the best climbing destinations in the United States for year-round climbing. So on the way to the New York Auto Show, in true Rivian fashion, RJ demanded we divert the car and go to Alex's house. So we did that. And I guess it's kind of one of the perks that you can have in being in such a small company. So
you mentioned Puerto Rico. I know you've been doing outreach at different events to build the brand. What are you going to be doing in Puerto Rico?
Well, I can't talk too much about it right now, but it's a project with the Honnold Foundation. So initially, before we started to do any partnership with Alex, I wanted to do a project with the Honnold Foundation. There's a lot of opportunity for energy projects, and that's what Alex's foundation supports. So we were interested in looking how Rivian can do some other things. So we're currently investigating that right now.
So the car is coming in 2020, next year, and you're in the pre-order stage right now. How are you connecting with those customers who have pre-ordered? I hear you guys have a really fun kit that you're sending out to people who pre-order.
Well, I mean, we're connecting with the pre-order customers or community in a lot of ways. They're really important to us. Obviously, it's a growing community. The response from the launch at the LA Auto Show was more than anybody could have expected. I mean, honestly,
Rihanna.
Yeah, Rihanna.
Rihanna was at their party at the auto show, so that kind of created a little buzz, just a little.
Yeah, it's wild. It was like talking to a queen. But it's like it's just so amazing because we've had our heads down for so long and working. We've been very quiet intentionally. Core principle of the organization was to under-promise and over-deliver. That was a core principle for us. So we've just been so quiet for so long that we didn't know what the reception would be. We knew we were creating something great. We were all excited. Everyone's so passionate, working so hard. But until we got to share it with the world, it was just was hard to imagine what was going to happen. So it's been wild and amazing and super humbling to see the response. So that pre-order community is super important to us. So not only we're doing these auto events like this, like we're here obviously today and this week, but we're also doing a number of more lifestyle focused events. So the next event we're heading to the Overland Expo, but giving back to that pre-order community is really important, and we're working with some brands, obviously, that we really enjoy, that kind of share brand alignment with us, to get some specialized gifts for that community. So a couple things have went out, and a couple more things are on the way.
Interesting, very cool. So this is, can you tell us what this is, this picture?
Yeah, so this was just Friday night at the Manhattan Car Club. So this was a Rivian pre-order event. So as we mentioned before, we're doing a lot of these kind of more specialized events that allow the pre-order community to come and see the vehicles, interact with the teams.
And it looks like you had a pretty good turnout.
Yeah, actually we had to double the capacity. So we ended up doing 2 events. Like I want to say it sold out in an hour or something like that. Like the reservation sold out in an hour. Not sold out, but it was filled up really, really quickly. And people flew from all over. Unfortunately, I was surfing in Costa Rica. I just got in Saturday night. But I hear it was good. And everyone said everyone was super stoked. And people flew from Puerto Rico. People flew from across the country just to come and see the vehicle. So like the pre-order community is really, really excited. I think a lot of people are looking for something new. And also for just to be involved at a different level with an organization. All of our engineers are here. If you guys go upstairs and go to our booth, it's staffed with engineers. It's staffed with our staff. It's not a bunch of booth people that are normally there. We have some some specialists who are up there, but it's really our staff, because for us it's super important one-on-one communication. And for me as an organization, I want to revel in the moment of us being small for as long as we can. I mean, we haven't done anything, like we're not there yet. We got a long way to go. But right now, we can have a really great one-on-one conversation with people that sometimes you just don't have that opportunity to do. And I really want to kind of soak in that for as long as possible.
So if you had to describe Rivian in one word, how would you, or what word would it be? I know it sounds trite, but...
It's adventurous, I'd say. And that's because at an engineering level, at our ultimate objectives level, it's all really important. Everybody who joins the organization is really given the opportunity to try new things and do things that don't currently, or might not exist as often in the automotive space, whether that's an industrial designer designing our facilities and defining the customer, and then ultimately all of the content that we produce and our brand objectives. Whether it's an engineer, again, who is, in this case, James here, who's developing, doing all the aerodynamics on the vehicle and doing things that aren't currently done in the truck space. So everybody is really given the opportunity to stretch their personal boundaries, their professional life, all these things. It's just keep pushing and doing more.
I know we've got one more video. Can you set it up for us?
Yeah, so this is, again, this is James here. It's a little piece about wind tunnel testing. All of the content that we're doing is done from a pretty small team, but it just showcases the development of aero, which is really, really important to an EV. Obviously, we're building a long-range EV that is designed to go places. When we're trying to be one of the first EV brands that really talks about like leaving the city and going to these remote destinations. And to do that, you need range. And not only do you, and that's achieved through one, big battery packs and other great technology and efficiency and all that, but it's also done through great aero, and that's really important in an EV. So this is just a quick little piece on that.
The performance of the R1T is going to be really quite spectacular. When you're developing a vehicle like that, you really have to apply the techniques and the technologies that are used in the racing industry. Not many OEMs have done this with a pickup truck on this scale. So it's this and these together. This is change 3, close air curtain.
The reason we're in clay right now Testing is because we can do very quick changes on the fly. Whatever this is, +10, take off that edge. We're doing a quick adjustment, moving spoiler forward.
Full-scale testing really validates the computational simulations we do throughout the process. This is really important in electric vehicles because the efficiency is a direct correlation to the range that is possible. The reason we're able to be better on range than any other vehicle currently on the market is because we're better on aerodynamics.
Well, I hope they make everybody want to go upstairs and check out the you've ever seen before in the automotive industry. So I want to thank you for being here today. For a couple of questions.
We do. Any questions for Larry? Yep, over here.
Strategy-wise, like GM, yes or no? Oh, you're talking about rumblings in the news. No comment.
Over here.
Hey, thanks so much. Dave Kubik with National Cinemedia. What's the price point and how are you building awareness?
Right now, the vehicles start right around $69,000. There's a slight difference between the SUV and the truck, the R1T. We're building awareness in a couple different ways. One, again, through these events that we're doing, industry show, Overland Expo. Most of our content is being developed for social, and we've been kind of low key with that, but it's building over the next few months as we grow our team. You know, when we launched, it was really quite small, our brand and marketing team, and that's growing right rapidly right now. So that how we distribute that will grow in the near future as well.
Since you're using a marketing strategy that's closer to a superhero movie than to a car, typically, how are you managing expectations? How are you making sure that the expectations don't overstep the product? I mean, are you monitoring the feedback? Are you having a sense of what hype is sort of getting out there in advance of this?
Yeah, I mean, right now, it's quite interesting because the vast majority of pre-orders, I'd say, would be coming from people who are current EV owners. Or at least are ready to make EV adoption a thing. So they're very, very knowledgeable. They know charging infrastructure. They know real-world statistics about vehicles. So we've been very cautious in not promising too much, and that we've validated everything we've said so far. And for the things that we're not ready to talk about, we're not yet. So there's a lot of questions about new areas of the next stages of the development process, and everything from leasing and financing and things like that. A tremendous amount of work happening in all these areas, and we'll announce when we're ready. So sticking to this kind of under-promising, over-delivering mantra is how we're mitigating that and managing it. But also, we're listening to that pre-order community by allowing these one-on-one kind of FaceTime with all these individuals. It really allows us to extrapolate any kind of concerns they have. And then act upon that. Right now, we're actually focusing on making a lot more technical content because there's a lot of tech questions. So we're trying to make sure we can satisfy the demands to see the cars do all these crazy things while still maintaining an adventure-focused brand story. So it's not just about 0 to 60 times. It's about lifestyle-focused content as well.
Is there an example of a place where customer feedback or advanced customer feedback has led to a substantial change in either the marketing plan or the design itself?
Well, there's been very little changes to the vehicle, and from now and through production, there's probably some tweaks and things like that, and there may be some innovation on the service side that comes out of that, but that consumer-focused in-field research process is really what drove all those things. So we were learning the entire time. So when we watched people, I can't tell you how many times I sat in parking lot with a camera, taking pictures of people. I mean, I look like a creep. Everybody would say that my job was amazing.
I'll call the cops on you after a while.
Everyone said my job was amazing because I got to go on these trips, and I was like, if you want to stand around in a parking lot with a camera and bug people, be my guest. But that process of learning and watching helped to inform everything along the way. So we think we've made a lot of great decisions. I'm sure they're not all great, but we think we've made a lot of great decisions that are truly informed by customer insight and not just some data-driven thing.
Larry Parker, Tanya, thank you very much.
There's one more.
Oh, there is. I'm sorry.
So you mentioned, thank you. Yep. Carol Anchado with TransPerfect. So I'm just curious, you said most of the orders that are coming through, are those just in the U.S. or foreign markets as well? How are you guys scaling as of now?
They're just in the U.S. And North America right now, but that's about to scale really, really rapidly. There's tremendous amounts of interest from all over the world. You know, Australia, the Scandinavian countries, of course Canada, Mexico, everywhere else. There's a lot of excitement, and every day, every time we show a picture, if you look at the comment sections, when can we order here? Is the car coming to South Africa? Is it going here? So we've got big global plans, which we're excited to announce soon. So.
I think there's one more question over there. Did you have your hand up? No? You good? Okay. Well, I have one more question, actually. I know you get this a lot, and I'm surprised nobody asked it. How does Tesla, how do you guys view Tesla? You don't really consider them to be a competitor, do you?
No, not at all. I mean, Tesla made EVs cool. Like, there was a time when people didn't think they were interesting, and they were for a specific segment, and they changed that. And if you look at the percentage of EVs in the overall automotive world, it's a fraction. There's a lot of room for new car companies to focus on other things and not have to step on anybody else's toes right now. We've got a lot of space, and it's going that way. So we're excited about Tesla, and Tesla fans are they seemingly are very excited about Rivian too, and I think that's a good thing. The more the merrier. We're here to bring more EVs to the world. That's an important goal of ours overall, and bring it on. So.
Great.
And your founder isn't lighting up doobies on podcasts, so that's probably an ad for
No, not right now.
I like to refer to RJ as the sane Elon
Sometimes
Musk,
it's good not to be Elon Musk. Yeah. Tanya, Larry, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think one of the through lines so far in the content is how much culture matters to car branding, and especially as we start moving more towards a post-advertising media world where we need to do something beyond interruptive advertising and find ways of weaving car brands, not only their meaning but also their message, into those things that people are already passionate about. That's what one of the best instances that we've seen here at MediaPost of exactly that kind of integration of car branding with culture, and that is the Lexus integration with the Black Panther film. It's one of the best examples of full-on integration that had an enormous impact on the market. Please welcome Aiko and Larissa.
Good morning.
Hi, everybody. So we're going to get started by showing a reel of the highlights of this campaign, and then we'll come back and dig into the details.
Lexus is making their most thrilling cars ever, but somehow, people still see the brand as boring. We needed to change that by doing something truly exciting to connect with a new, younger audience. Like partner with Marvel Studios' groundbreaking Black Panther film 2 years before its debut with a never-been-done-before content-generating experience. We kicked it off by working with Deadpool creator Fabian Nicieza on an 8-part graphic novel, which Lexus launched at their exclusive first-ever Comic-Con concert with the Black Eyed Peas. Social media was lit. Fandom intensified when we had West Coast Customs create a one-of-a-kind Black Panther Lexus just in time for auto show season. And then we sponsored the Black Comic Book Festival. Excitement kept growing as we debuted Wakandan-inspired fashion from 10 up-and-coming designers at New York Fashion Week. Our influencer network spread the word every step of the way, creating anticipation for our next big moment, the launch of the new Lexus flagship on the Super Bowl. Which was ranked one of the best commercials of the game, was the most watched Lexus commercial ever, and gave us a 1,080% lift in search at prominent auto sites. This unprecedented effort shattered all expectations, with over 56 million organic social media impressions, over 5 billion earned media impressions, and a 269% lift in Lexus LS sales. Proving that when you think beyond product placement and engage culture in an authentic way, the result is anything but boring.
I have to admit, you really did make Lexus cool, at least to me, on that. So can you tell me more about the initial talks with Lexus and their intentions first going into the partnership?
Well, First of all, we start everything out with strategy. So it's a strategy-led conversation. We were lucky enough that Lexus had a brand new coupe coming out, which was the LC500. And as you saw in the video, one of the things we were struggling with is that the brand was not being perceived as a performance brand. And they wanted to make a splash in a big way. So we brought the idea and the partnership to Lexus. And I have to say, the initial conversation was not one of, yes, let's go for it. So we did have to do quite a bit of convincing of the Lexus team to allow us to move this through. I think what really solidified the deal was when we went to Marvel and actually met with Ryan Coogler and Nate Moore and actually showed them the vehicles. They were very open to the conversation about really integrating Lexus into the storyline, and the fact that we were there before the script was even written really had a huge impact on how ultimately the program and the partnership would come to life. Without that collaboration and authenticity, we would not have been able to deliver what we were able to deliver. And then when you really look at Black Panther as a character, the city of Wakanda, everything that film was about, which was about excellence, luxury, performance, technology, the synergies between Lexus Black Panther was just too kismet. I mean, it was like a lightning in the bottle. It just kind of lined up so perfectly that everything that Wakanda stood for was the same brand ethos that Lexus stood for. So it was really, I want to say easy, but it wasn't like we had to fit a square peg into a round hole. There were very specific touch points that we can connect back to the film.
I didn't realize that you guys got involved even before the script was written.
Yeah, it was a really exciting meeting. You know, we brought the cars out there, and then, you know, Mary Jane Kroll from Lexus actually talks about this. I wasn't at that particular meeting, but they had brought the cars out there, and it was a prototype. It was the only prototype that we had in the U.S. And Ryan said, can I stand on top of the car? And MJ was like, yeah, I guess so. And so we have an iconic photo of Ryan Coogler standing on top of the only prototype that we had in the U.S. in the same stance that ultimately ended up in the film.
So was there one part of the campaign that stood out for you above the others?
I have to say the thing that stood out for me above all the others is that, first of all, this was a general market film. Marvel did not marginalize this particular film because it had black actors and it had a black cast and it was a very black storyline. They didn't marginalize it to be a black film. So it was a general market initiative that we then grounded in authenticity with the black consumer. So I have to say the fact that Lexus allowed me to partner with the Black Comic Book Festival and how important this particular character is to blacks in comics. It was the first, it was in 1960, I believe 1963. I think that's the part of it that stood out. And when I went to that particular panel where they were discussing the role of the Black Panther in graphic novels, it enlightened me to a whole new world. And I was really happy that we were able to connect the car and Lexus very specifically to culture. And then, you know, just by happenstance, we found out that Lexus was included in the Black Panther comic book in 1989. Now, granted, it wasn't an actual Lexus. I think it was a Ford that they put a Lexus logo on it. But still, we have been included and a part of the Black Panther story for quite a while.
And I think it's important to note that, you know, the widespread thought was that this wasn't really going to be that successful and that might maybe be a niche or even maybe be the first Marvel failure. So the fact that it exceeded expectations, I think, is something.
Well, I would have to differ with you on that because if you were on Facebook, on social media, if you were part of any pop culture moment, every single time they announced anything about this Black Panther film, when they announced that it was being made, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram just went crazy. It was also around the same time that Luke Cage second season was coming out that broke Netflix. So the hunger for this character to be brought to life was there, and we were confident, at least us inside Walton Isaacson, were very confident that this film was going to be big, and we had the support of another Marvel fan and comic book fan inside the Lexus family, which was Mary Jane. I mean, she knew the stories before most of us did. So with that, we went into this with the anticipation that the film or other Marvel films, but we had no idea what the script was. We hadn't read the story. So we're all sitting at the premiere and we're like, I hope this is good, I hope this is good, I hope this is good. And, you know, as we were sitting there at the premiere of the film, you know, as minutes ticked by and, you know, there were, oh my God, this is a good movie. Oh my goodness, this is great. And then when we really, really started to pay attention to the film, there were so many moments in the film that actually connected back to Lexus ideology. So there's Kaizen, which is the notion of constant improving. That was right there. Shuri said it. And so there were several of those moments that just kind of, you know, was the solidification that what we did was
this one is not something most marketers, even automakers, can do. So what did that impact in terms of coming up with the expectations and challenges?
Well, I think, you know, when we went into the film, it was about a product placement. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that we had all of this kind of planned out. But as we started to, you know, as I said before, we signed on to the film before the script was even written. It was 2 years out. Once we got into the year that the film was actually going to be coming out, we put together a plan for our entire year in terms of what we're going to do and what we're going to deliver. And when we were putting together our plan, our client, Mariko Kusamoto, said, why don't you guys make Black Panther your big idea? As opposed to just putting it on the side and that's a film integration. And so we took that to heart. So we started to look for different touch points that touched different consumers along the way. So Comic-Con, the announcement of the partnership, was really about connecting to that core comic book fan. And then we created the graphic novel that every superhero has a backstory. So our graphic novel was the Elsie's backstory on why it was going to be in that space at that time for Black Panther to basically use it to catch the bad guy. So we wanted it to have a purpose. It just didn't happen to be there. It was purposely there. It was supposed to be there. So we created that graphic novel. And then from there, we're like, you know, what if we do a custom car? And, you know, we put ideas on the table. Not all of them got moved forward. But when we grounded in strategy, and we grounded it very specifically in whoever the target consumer was, we were able to kind of move it forward. So we got comic book fans, we got car enthusiasts, we got the Black consumer, we got Fashion Week. So it just continued to kind of go there. We were touching and making sure that Lexus was a part of the Black Panther story, and that we were connected so completely from the very beginning.
And so how important was social media in terms of reaching out with this campaign?
Social media was hugely important because, once again, we weren't buying media early on. So for the comic book festival, we had social influencers that basically told the story of what we did at the comic book festival. We had a through line of 4 social medias that we used through the entire campaign that did Comic-Con, that went to SEMA, that also went to New York Fashion Week, and then was also part of the Black Comic Book Festival. So we continued to seed the marketplace with information that Lexus was very connected and a part of the Marvel Black Panther film.
And what are key takeaways for all brands, you know, seeking movie-type campaigns?
Well, I think that the core takeaways are, one, there has to be authenticity. There has to be authenticity in the story. The car can't just be there placed in a